The stars outside the ship's window looked calm. But Commander Jax's Vorn knew better. Behind that quiet sky, the galaxy was burning slowly, silently, and from within. His shuttle, the Resolute, approached Unity Spire, the ancient orbital station where the Galactic Council once kept peace across 50 worlds. Now, Vorn could see the signs of decline. Parts of the station flickered. Patrol drones flew with urgency. Defense systems once dormant were now active. As the shuttle docked, Vorn adjusted his coat and stepped out. He had been away for 5 years. Too long, maybe. He walked with a steady pace, but his mind raced. He didn't expect a warm welcome, and he was right. 2 guards met him, tall insectoid beings from the Solari race. One scanned him silently. The other spoke. Commander Jax's Vorn, the Council allowed your return. Barely. I'm not here to beg. Vorn said calmly. I'm here to help. They didn't answer. They turned and led him through cold, metallic halls to the council chamber. The chamber hadn't changed. High ceilings, tiered seats for each delegate, a large table in the center. But the energy was different now. Bitter, distrustful. Delegates whispered as Vorn entered. Some glared. A few looked away. A booming voice spoke first. So the humans send a ghost. It was Gralik, a heavy-set reptilian from the CERN Dominion. He had never liked humans. Vorn stood at the center. Not a ghost. Just a man trying to stop this galaxy from tearing itself apart. Someone laughed coldly. A Yalari ambassador. Pale and sharp-eyed. Your people tore it first, Vorn. You walked out. You left us behind. Vorn took a breath. We made mistakes. I know that. But the council is falling apart. And you all know it. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm here because war is coming. Silence followed. Then muttering. Then shouting. We don't need lectures from deserters. Let him speak. Enough. A loud chime ended the noise. It was Chairwoman Talexi of the Varelian Assembly. One of the few neutral voices left. She tapped her console. Commander Vorn has the floor for 2 minutes. Use it wisely. Vorn nodded. You all know what's happening. Trade routes cut. Border attacks. Armies moving. The Dravari Dominion is preparing for something. And we're all too divided to stop it. I came back because I believe the Council can still survive. But only if we act together. No one replied. Then Gralik stood. You say the Dravari are moving. Do you have proof? Not yet. Vorn admitted. But I will find it. Gralik snorted. Then you have nothing. He stormed out of the chamber. Others followed. Some shaking their heads. Some in silence. Soon only a few remained. Talexi the Solari and 2 minor delegates. Talexi looked at him. You've made enemies just by showing up, Jaxes. If you want to help, you'll need more than words. I'll get them. Vorn said quietly. Whatever it takes. She stood and walked toward the exit. Then start soon. This galaxy won't wait for you. As she left, the lights in the chamber dimmed. Vorn stood alone, watching the stars through the wide glass dome above. He had returned, but this time peace would not come easy. Varnex of Nithal stood on the command bridge of the Dravari warship Dominion's Claw. The ship floated just beyond Council-protected space, far enough to avoid direct conflict, but close enough to send a message. He stared at the holographic map before him. Glowing red markers showed the positions of Dravari fleets, one near the Ralix system, one near the neutral Varelian sector, and another near the old Human Alliance border. Everything was moving as planned. A junior officer approached and bowed slightly. Supreme Strategist, our ships report no resistance from neighboring sectors. Of course not, Varnex said, his voice calm and smooth. The Council is too weak to act, and the humans no longer speak for them. He walked toward the viewing panel. Outside, the stars looked the same as ever, but he knew change was coming. He was going to bring it. Soon, he said softly. There will be no more council, no more debates, only order. The officer hesitated. And what of Commander Vorn? He's returned to Unity Spire. Varnex paused. Jax's Vorn is a relic of a failed species. Let him talk, let him beg. it won't matter. But deep inside, Varnex knew Vorn was not someone to ignore. Years ago, the two had met during peace talks. Vorn had been sharp, focused, and persuasive. He had derailed one of Varnex's early plans without even knowing it. He would not be so lucky this time. Back on Unity Spire, Jax's Vorn sat alone in the diplomatic archives, scrolling through reports. His eyes were tired. His mind was busy. Council communication logs were full of strange gaps. Messages sent between planets had gone missing. Requests for help had been delayed or blocked. Entire supply routes were being redirected without permission. It wasn't random. Someone was tampering with the Council's systems. He tapped his communicator. AI, compile every altered message from the last 3 months. Cross-reference with Dravari fleet movements. The artificial voice replied, working. Estimated time 20 minutes. Vorn leaned back. His thoughts drifted to the Council session earlier. The anger in the room. The fear behind the words. The way everyone turned on each other so easily. Trust had vanished. And without trust, the Council would fall. Exactly what the Dravari wanted. Later that day, Vorn met with Chairwoman Talaxi in her private chamber. Sabotage? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Vorn nodded. I can't prove it yet, but too many messages are missing. Too many systems are failing at just the right moments. And you think Varnex is behind it? I know him, Vorn said. He doesn't need to fire a shot. He just waits for the Council to collapse on its own. Talaxi frowned. Then you need proof, Commander. The other delegates won't act without it. I'm working on it, Vorn said. And I may have a lead. Someone from the intelligence division reached out. Off the record. Dangerous, she said quietly. He nodded. So is doing nothing. That night, Vorn walked alone through a quiet service corridor. Deep in the station's lower decks, it was dark and narrow. Few came here. He stopped at a door marked Maintenance, Level C. It slid open. Inside stood a hooded figure. The voice was low and sharp. You're being watched, Commander. The Dravari have people inside the Council systems. They've corrupted parts of the network. Vorn stepped forward. Who are you? That doesn't matter. What matters is this. The figure handed him a data crystal. Everything you need to prove sabotage is in here. But be careful. Once you use it, Varnex will know someone talked. The figure turned to leave. Wait, Vorn called. Why help me? A pause. Then because I still believe in peace. And I know you do too. The figure disappeared into the dark hallway. Vorn stared at the crystal in his hand. Proof of sabotage. A weapon more powerful than any fleet. Now he just had to survive long enough to use it. Commander Jax's Vorn sat in his quarters aboard the Resolute, staring at the small data crystal in his hand. It was no larger than his thumb, but it held everything. Proof of sabotage, the key to exposing Varnex, and maybe the last chance to save the Galactic Council. He inserted it into the ship's secure terminal. The screen flickered to life, displaying coded transmissions, access logs, and command overrides. Every line pointed to the same conclusion. The Dravari Dominion had infiltrated the Council's communication systems. Dozens of key messages were rerouted, delayed, or deleted, especially those that could have prevented conflicts. AI, he said. Is this data authentic? Confirmed. The ship's AI responded. All signatures trace back to encrypted Dravari relays. Data integrity at 98.3%. First lane back. It was real and dangerous. If he revealed this too soon, without a strong alliance behind him, Varnex would strike hard. He needed support, real allies, not whispers of them. His first stop was the Solari diplomat, Veltari. The Solari were once strong human allies, but now they walked a neutral line. They met in a quiet garden chamber, full of bioluminescent plants from Solari Prime. First handed her a copy of the data. This is what's happening. The Dravari are pushing us toward war. Veltari studied it silently, her 6 slender fingers tapping the console. Finally, she looked at him. This is damning, she said. But others won't believe it unless it comes from the Council security network itself. I need time to get in. A direct channel, Force said. But I need your voice when I bring it forward. Veltari tilted her head. I will consider it. But be careful, Jaxes. Truth can be as dangerous as lies. Later, Vorn reached out to another possible ally, Ambassador Trin of the Yalari. The Yalari were cautious, always weighing every side. Trin met him in the observation deck. You have nerve returning here, Trin said flatly. I didn't come for comfort, Ford replied. I came to stop a war. He shared the data again. Trin studied it. You expect me to believe this wasn't forged? Your people have the best analysts in the sector. Let them look at it. Trin narrowed his eyes. If you're right, then Varnex has already won. The council is crumbling. Then help me hold it together, Thor said. Before it's too late. Trin didn't reply. He turned and walked away, but he didn't delete the file. That night, as the Resolute returned to dock, Thor stood at the airlock. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Kale, approached. Sir, we've detected surveillance drones near your quarters. Unauthorized. Dravari, Thor staxed. Kale nodded. Most likely. They're watching you. Thor sighed. Then we're getting close. Just as he spoke, an explosion rocked the docking bay. Alarms blared. Lights flashed red. The floor shook. Status, Thor stated. Sabotage. Kale replied, checking his wrist pad. Secondary power core damaged. Emergency systems online. You were the target. Forst looked through the smoke and saw the twisted wreckage of a service droid. It had been planted near his entrance hatch. He clenched his jaw. Varnex was done waiting. After emergency teams cleared the area, Ford returned to his ship. The damage wasn't fatal, but the message was clear. He opened a secure channel to Chairwoman Talexi. I have proof, Talexi, he said. But the Dravari know. They've tried to kill me. She listened quietly, then spoke. I'll call for an emergency council session in 2 days. You'll present your findings. Thank you, Ford said. Be ready, Jaxes. If you're wrong, this will destroy what little trust remains. And if you're right, then war has already begun. He finished. He ended the call and stared out at the stars. The truth was in his hands now, and the galaxy was watching. 2 days later, the council chamber buzzed with tension. The Great Hall, once a symbol of unity, now felt like a battlefield. Delegates from across the galaxy filled their seats, each carrying suspicion, fear, or anger. Commander Jaxes Vorn stood at the center, a small projector on the table before him. He looked around. Some faces showed interest, others scorn. Chairwoman Talexi called the room to order. Today, Commander Vorn presents evidence of foreign interference in council systems. All delegates will remain silent until the presentation ends. Vorn tapped the projector. Holograms lit the air. This is not guesswork, he began. This is fact. Over the last 3 months, key transmissions between council worlds were blocked, delayed, or rewritten. This sabotage caused supply shortages, sparked border disputes, and delayed urgent aid. He pointed to a file. This message from the Kelleran system was changed to make them look hostile. It was never sent in its true form. Gasps rose from the delegates. And this, he continued, shows the source encrypted relay points connected to Dravari-controlled sectors. Some of them were installed during peacekeeping operations. Gralik of the CERN pounded the table. Are you accusing the Dravari of war crimes? I'm not accusing, Vorn said. I'm proving it. He played the final piece, a video log from a captured Dravari agent admitting to the network breach. Silence filled the room, then chaos. Delegates shouted. Some stood, others pointed fingers. You manipulated us. This is an act of war. We must respond. Vorn raised his voice. This is what Varnex wants. Chaos, panic, division. If we turn on each other now, we're doing his work for him. Chairwoman Talexi struck her desk to silence the room. This council will reconvene in 12 hours to vote on our response. Until then, all military actions are frozen. The session ended, and the delegates began to scatter, their voices still tense. Later, in a quiet corner of the station, Vorn met with Veltari of the Silari and Trin of the Yalari. You've changed some minds, Veltari said, but not all. Trin added, Some delegates still believe the Draveri can be reasoned with. Others fear retaliation. I don't want a war, Vorn said. But if we don't act, Varnex will strike first. He thinks the council is broken. Veltari nodded slowly. Then we must show him it isn't. Hours later, just as Vorn prepared to rest, an urgent alert came through. Multiple distress signals, Kale reported. Neutral colonies near the Varelian sector are under attack. Ships bearing Draveri signatures. Vorn's jaw tightened. Are council fleets responding? Some are, but others are waiting for orders. The council vote hasn't happened yet. Vorn stood. He's testing us. If we delay, he'll take more systems. He opened a secure channel to Talexi. We don't have 12 hours, he said. We act now, or we lose everything. Talexi's voice was steady. Then prepare. Stiff, war is coming. We face it together, or not at all. That night, the stars above Unity Spire glowed brighter than usual. But they weren't stars. They were ships. Dozens of them, Draveri vessels, lined up along the outer edge of neutral space, waiting, watching. The storm was coming. The council chamber was silent as the emergency session began. A single image hovered above the center table, live footage from the outer rim. Draveri warships floated in formation, their weapons armed and ready. Civilians from nearby colonies had already begun evacuating. Chairwoman Talexi spoke firmly. We are past debate. The Draveri Dominion has crossed into restricted space. The vote begins now. Stand together or fall apart. One by one, the delegates cast their votes. Some hesitated. Others stood with clear intent. The final count came through. 32 in favor of unified defense. 15 opposed. 3 abstained. Talexi looked to the room. The council will defend its member worlds. We act as one. Cheers erupted from half the chamber. The others sat stone-faced. Commander Jax's Vorn stood outside the council room, watching the holographic fleet map shift in real time. Draveri ships had begun attacking key trade relays and minor outposts. Their strategy was sharp, quick strikes, meant to spread panic. Vorn turned to Lieutenant Kale. Tell our fleet to move to defensive positions around Varelian. No direct fire unless fired upon. Kale nodded. Understood, sir. As Kale left, Veltari approached. You've pushed the council further than anyone expected, Jax's. But Varnex won't stop now. You've cornered him. Vorn sighed. Then we need to end this before he drags the galaxy into full war. That evening, a peace summit was held on a neutral platform within Unity Spire. It was meant to buy time, to give the Draveri one last chance to stand down. Varnex arrived in person. Tall and composed in his dark armor, Varnex walked into the chamber like he owned it. Behind him stood his aides, silent and watchful. Vorn faced him across the table. You've gone too far, Vorn said. We have proof. We have witnesses. You've attacked civilian colonies. Varnex's smile was cold. I have brought order where your council brought only decay. Weakness breeds chaos. I offer strength. The council chose unity, Vorn replied. And it will defend it. Varnex's eyes narrowed. Then you choose war. Before Vorn could answer, a sudden boom shook the room. The lights flickered. Alarms sounded. Kale's voice came through Vorn's wristcom. Sir, explosion near the east docking ring. Internal breach. Someone targeted your ship. Vorn stood. Evacuate the summit. Now. Chaos filled the corridors. Smoke poured through the halls as Vorn and Kale rushed toward the bay. They found the Resolute damaged, its landing gear blown apart, one side scorched and burning. Kale checked the systems. No lives lost, but they meant to kill you. Vorn looked at the blast mark. It wasn't random. It was planted with precision. This was a warning, he said. Varnex wanted me out of the way before the final phase. Kale looked grim. What now? We move faster, Vorn said. We expose him to the rest of the galaxy, and we end this. Hours later, Vorn gathered his allies, Veltari, Trin, and other neutral delegates, into a private war room. He placed a new data crystal on the table. This holds the rest of the truth. Dravari troop deployments, secret orders, and intercepted messages. We leak this to every system. Let them see who Varnex really is. Trin frowned. This is risky. If we're wrong, we're not, Vorn said quietly. He tried to kill me. He attacked our colonies. If we wait, the next explosion won't miss. Valtari looked to the others. Then we vote. Now. Each delegate placed a hand over the confirmation pad. Unanimous. The leak would go live within hours. Varnex's secrets would become public knowledge, and the final move would begin. The stars outside Unity Spire shimmered with tension. Dozens of Dravari warships had crossed into Council territory. Civilian stations were being evacuated. Council fleets scrambled to respond, forming defensive lines across 3 sectors. News of Vernex's secret plans had spread like fire. Every system knew now. The Dravari weren't protecting the galaxy. They were preparing to conquer it. Commander Jax's Vorn stood in the war room, his eyes locked on the tactical map. Red markers flashed across the screen. Dravari ships in motion. We have confirmation, Kale reported. Vernex's fleet is moving toward the Varelian system. Full strike formation. No signs of slowing. How long until they reach the station? Vorn asked. 6 hours. Vern turned to the delegates behind him. Veltari, Trin, Talexi, and others who now stood as allies. If he reaches Unity Spire and disables the Council, the galaxy falls. We stop him here. Now. The Council launched a full fleet mobilization, something that hadn't happened in over a century. Ships from across member worlds gathered under one flag. Their orders were simple. Defend Unity Spire at all costs. As the Council fleet moved into position, Vorn made a bold choice. I'm going to him, he told Kale. To Vernex alone. He'll expect a fight. But he still thinks diplomacy is weakness. I want to prove him wrong. One last time. Kale didn't like it, but he nodded. Understood. Hours later, Vorn's shuttle flew straight into the heart of the Dravari formation. Every gun on every ship tracked him, but no one fired. He was allowed to dock. Inside the Dominion's claw, he was escorted to Vernex's command chamber. The Dravari strategist stood tall, calm, hands folded behind his back. You surprise me, Vorn, Vernex said. Coming here alone. I came to give you a choice, Vorn said. Stand down. Withdraw your fleets. We can still end this without war. Vernex chuckled. You still cling to peace. Even now. I believe in strength, Vorn said. But not your kind. True strength is when different worlds stand together, not under one fist. Vernex stepped closer. The Council is weak, divided, and now, afraid. I have shown them what power looks like, and now they've united against you, Vorn replied. Your secrets are out. Your plan is exposed, and even your allies are questioning you. Vernex's eyes narrowed. You've caused more trouble than I expected. He tapped a control panel. The screen showed part of his fleet, turning. Several captains were leaving formation. One ship even jumped to hyperspace. Looks like they don't want to follow a traitor, Vorn said. Vernex's calm cracked for a moment. Just a flicker of rage. Then it returned. To think this ends with my defeat, he said coldly. There will always be another, someone stronger. Someone willing to take what the Council is too weak to protect. Maybe, Vorn said. But not today. As Vorn left the Dravari ship, the Council fleet prepared for the worst, but the battle never came. Vernex's fleet began to break apart. Ships scattered. Some turned themselves in. Others fled. The Dominion's claw remained still, powered down, its leader taken into custody by his own crew. Unity Spire was safe. For now. Back on the station, Vorn stood before the Council one last time. You asked me why I returned, he said. The answer is simple. I believe this galaxy is worth saving, not by force, but by trust. Chairwoman Talexi stood. And you've reminded us how fragile that trust is, but also how powerful. That night Vorn looked out from his quarters. The stars were quiet again. The council would recover, rebuild, and maybe this time, last. But peace was not a gift, it was a responsibility, and he would continue to protect it. The corridors of Unity Spire were calm again. Gone were the evacuation alarms, the emergency patrols, and the quiet fear that war would tear everything apart. Now, soft lights filled the station. Delegates walked the halls with cautious relief. The council had survived. In the central chamber, the council gathered for one final meeting. This time, there were no arguments, no shouting, no walkouts. The room was quiet. Listening. Commander Jax's Vorn stood at the center, not as a soldier or a negotiator, but as a man who had done what many thought impossible, restored unity. Chairwoman Telexi rose first. Commander Vorn, she said clearly, on behalf of this council, we thank you. Without your leadership, your truth, and your courage, we would not be standing here today. Several delegates nodded. Others tapped their tables in silent applause. Vorn gave a small nod. I didn't do it alone. Many of you chose to stand when it mattered. This council still has a future, but only if it remembers why it was built in the first place. He paused. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the choice to face it together. After the meeting, Telexi met him in the garden chamber. You could stay, she said. Join the council. You've earned a seat. Vorn shook his head gently. My place isn't in meetings. It's out there watching the edges, helping before things fall apart. Telexi smiled. You'll always have a place here, Jax's. He offered a quiet thank you, and turned to leave. Later, aboard the Resolute, Vorn walked the length of the ship. Engineers repaired the docking damage. Kale checked reports with junior officers. The crew was already preparing for departure. Vorn stopped by the window and looked out at the stars. They looked peaceful again. But he knew peace never stayed on its own. It had to be protected. Not with power, but with truth. With people willing to stand, even when others fled. People willing to face war to stop it. He thought of Varnex, now imprisoned in a council facility. A man who chose fear and control over trust. And he thought of those who stood with him. Veltari, Trin, Kale. Even Chairwoman Telexi. One voice could still matter in a galaxy full of noise. As the Resolute undocked from Unity Spire and turned toward the stars, Vorn gave a final order. Set course for the outer colonies. Let's see who else needs help. The ship jumped into light, and the stars welcomed him once again.